and are just getting into working out, that a personal trainer is one of the best investments that you can make.
Come to Anytime Fitness and find out more about personal training or working out on your own any day, anytime. Anytime Fitness on Bridges Street in Morehead City, just down from the Harris Teeter. Check out their Facebook page.
Hey, cyber criminals stole the W-2 forms from my friend's company.
Yeah, scammers impersonate CEOs in email and also launch attacks from compromised accounts.
What if they target us?
Don't worry. We have Barracuda Total Email Protection.
So we're secured?
Yes. Barracuda protects businesses of all sizes with artificial intelligence that blocks spear phishing, account takeover attempts, and business email compromise.
That's a relief.
Protect your business at Barracuda.com. Barracuda, your journey secured.
Hi, this is Matt Dodge from the Estate Planning Center here in Morehead City and your local financial HQ network advisor. Join me here on Viewpoints every Friday at 6:05, right here on the talk station, FM 107, AM 1240.
The Y Factor here on the talk station, FM 107, AM 1240. And I'm looking here, number 4. Yeah. We've got Sarah Brady joining us by Skype. Sarah Brady, thank you very much. And her face is up on our Facebook page. We're doing this wrong. We're not. Tell me about it. I see her, but the audience can't see her? Why not, Taylor? Production work. We got to work on our producer. But okay, that's another story. We got Sarah Brady joining us here by Skype. We have We have Ronnie, Trevor, and Joey here in the studio. The Supreme Court expansion, Electoral College, the future of the Electoral College. Okay, let's throw this out. Ronnie, start with you. Supreme Court expansion, good, bad, or indifferent?
Objectively bad, because I know the motives behind it. So in North Carolina, we had almost experienced a similar thing as McCrory was leaving office. They were talking about packing the court and expanding it because we have a pretty significant Democratic majority on the court, right. 6-3. And
no, it's now 7-2.
Is it? Oh yeah, the most recent appointment. I'm sorry, Chief Justice.
Yep.
But so we're at 7-2. That is a giant body over the state, deals with a lot, and I frankly think that if we expanded it just to hit numbers on either side, that's just, where do we stop? Like, do we just stop at like 122 Supreme Court justices after like each election year? We're just gonna add two more. Like that's what happens, and it almost happened in North Carolina. I'm glad it didn't.
Okay, all right. To you, Trevor.
That's the first I've heard of it, so I'm going to leave it to the experts
Joey,
on this.
Any comment?
Yeah, I think that's naturally going to be super unpopular. But what is a good number, like Supreme Court justices, though? I've never really thought about why one number would really be superior to another one.
It's an odd number, typically.
It's been tradition.
Yeah.
So that fifth vote's the deciding.
But why not 7 or like you said, 101? Like there's.
All right, Sarah Brady, your comment on it. Then we'll go to the
I think Ronnie hit the nail on the head there. It's any kind of argument that you could come up for it. Really is a justification, because the motive that goes into this from both sides whenever it's presented is, well, the court is not currently in my favor, so we need to add more seats to make that possible.
Well, it's related to the in my favor. I think there's only one, and this is my I'll proffer this as a thought very quickly. I want to move to the Electoral College here in a moment. I think there's only one issue that is really driving the subject of the Supreme Court staffing, if you will. And it's purely Roe v. Wade. Sarah Brady, am I right or wrong?
I mean, it is definitely a significant factor, but that's just the overall idea of we need to get more conservatives on the court.
Okay, I think that... Go ahead, Joey.
Okay, no, I thought about it for a second. I'm going to advocate for more Supreme Court justices in general, as long as the motivation isn't partisan, because if you have more justices, you're going to have less fast swings in the ideology. It would make it more stable. That way, so you don't have one person come into office all of a sudden swing one way or the other. It coincidentally is going way one way.
All right, Ronnie?
And while I do agree with that by definition, it's that is literally politicizing the judicial system. It's the 9 Supreme Court justices of the United States, one of them including the Chief Justice. That's what they're trying to do.
And by the way, the Chief Justice has been more inclined to a liberal vote, according to the conservatives, and he was perceived originally as a conservative decision.
Quite.
So, it's unfortunate, but to your point, Ronnie, I think that what we really want is we want wisdom in the court. We don't need politics.
Yeah, you cannot turn the judicial body into the legislative body
that is,
like bring in 100 folks.
Yeah.
Granted, I'm all for those people, the 9 hearing opinions from 100 folks, but I don't think there should be 100 votes.
Okay.
Like that's
all right. Let's.
It's a bad political decision to try to do it. FDR tried to stack the court, and everybody hated him, even though they loved him. They still called.
Yeah. It was
PS on it.
It was court packing. All right. Let's talk now about the future of the Electoral College. Do you support, Ronnie, the removal of the Electoral College and a popular vote?
I will say that a popular vote traditionally would represent the majority of the country's thoughts, just metrically. It's one number versus another number, okay? But these numbers, I understand the rurals want to be counted. I am no scientist on the Electoral College. I feel like it's something you need to study for years and years and years in its relation to the Senate, and I do not think we need to be abolishing it in 2020, 2024, 2028, maybe 2032, but we need to explore a proper representation at all levels for the rurals, because I know that that's the thing. A vote in Wyoming is 7 votes in Cali usually.
Right.
So
to your point, Trevor?
Yeah, I mean, that's my understanding, is that the Electoral College was intended to be a little bit of an equalizer between rural and urban populations, and give weight to those values as well. So I mean, I would be very hesitant to see it go away without, like Ronnie said, some very thorough long-term research.
Joey?
Politics aside, because I think politically it's a terrible decision for Democrats to disprove it, because it looks like sour grapes, basically. But for 2 political reasons, I would support it being popular vote. A rural voter should not have a more powerful vote or be given any preference to a non-rural voter. Like, there's no need of, like, the Electoral College or the popular vote represents a balance of 1-to-1. Also, all the justifications of the Electoral College that I've seen talk about how candidates will have to go to certain states they wouldn't otherwise have to. Well, now they only have to go to 5 states right now in the first place.
Yeah, we skipped Wisconsin. Yeah. We literally skipped it.
Who did?
Hillary. Hillary and I. We did.
All right, let's talk about Sarah Brady.
Can I? Just
jump in there.
To add one of those things.
Yeah.
I'm going to offer a different solution. Rather than abolishing the Electoral College and just resorting to a national popular vote, in which case you're literally dealing with an issue of like mob rule, why don't we resort back to adding more representatives, which would help to solve the problem that we're having with the Electoral College in the first place. The Electoral College is based on the total number of both senators and representatives. We stopped adding representatives a while ago, and Congress really gave no reasoning for it. They just stopped doing reapportionment. And so gradually we have these representatives who become less and less accountable to their voters simply because they're representing so many more people.
Well, the other aspect of this, and this goes to the issue of, and your challenge on this one, Joey, of the rural voter having a greater weight, it is the fact that we are the United States of America, which is to say that Wyoming should benefit in equal proportion to New York, Massachusetts, California, because we are, the bad, I would acknowledge, is that, to your point, there is a greater weight in the rural communities by default. But at the same time, it gives the sense that we are a united community, and that there is this, if you will, this ability to compromise on the issue of popular versus electoral votes. That's a big, broad philosophical observation, but your thoughts?
Okay, well, I think it's important that people don't get discounted, but at the same time, if votes mean anything, if your power in electing representatives means anything, then I'm not crazy about the Senate either, because of how that disproportionately... But one citizen is equal to one citizen. But I don't see a good argument for it, really. Okay, the other thing...
But let me just tell you why. Another observation. Each state, by the fact that we've got the 10th Amendment, states' rights, has a certain representation that should be equal in Washington, D.C. That is in the Senate. And keep in mind, the House and the Senate have different responsibilities. The House actually has a lot more control because the House The House deals with budget, deals with a lot more details, and has more control over the internal operations of this country. The Senate ostensibly is just basically advice and consent and a national or international perspective. I'm simplifying.
Okay, so then that applying to how represented people are in elections doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And I like the idea of the way that things started. If things were proportionate now, we would have a giant House of Representatives. It would be huge
in the 600s.
Yeah,
projected in the 600s.
And that would fix the Electoral College.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would like that. I want a huge House of Representatives.
And that's where I'm at too. Then that's three different people of three different affiliations feeling that same thing.
So let's fix the system.
Yeah, but it's not going to be fixed in 2020 with the snap of a finger by anybody. It's going to be 12 years, or it should be.
Yeah, it will be a long time. All right, any comment?
Downer.
Yeah. Any comment, Trevor? We'll go to the break.
I think they raised some good points, and I definitely understand the logic there.
You did agree with me, though, first.
Yes.
Okay, that's important. All right.
But they softened my view on it. So.
Stay tuned for more here on the Y Factor here on the Talk Station, FM 107 AM 1240. Interesting story here. Stunning survey shows half of Americans don't know all First Amendment freedoms. Okay, but the other aspect of it is having to do with free speech. And as a matter of fact, this is a topic that's going to be resonating here at the Talk Station a lot. Has to do with the role of the internet. What do we do about that? Should it be controlled? We're already seeing a situation. For example, the president's digital guru got frozen out by Twitter. Is he waving a red flag at the digital media? I'm wondering. We'll get back to that moment with our panel of millennials here on the Y Factor.
Now this Talk Station update. State legislators are re-electing current members of the state university system's governing board despite months of recent turmoil in which 3 top administrators were forced out or left earlier than planned. The State House elected on Wednesday a slate of 6 candidates to the University of North Carolina Board of Governors offered by Republican lawmakers. The Senate will likely approve the slate today. 21 people are under arrest and 3 more are being sought for alleged illegal drug activities. The Craven County Sheriff's Department announced the recent arrest with the cooperation of surrounding agencies. The arrest reportedly arose from citizen complaints. The names of 2 hurricanes that caused dozens of deaths and widespread devastation from Florida to Virginia last year have been retired. The storm names Florence and Michael will be replaced with Francine and Milton. 88 names have been dropped from the list for the Atlantic and Caribbean since storms began to be named in 1953.
I'm Storm Track 12 meteorologist Donnie Cox for the Talk Station, and it looks like a few lingering evening showers will give way to clearing skies overnight. You can expect chilly temperatures as we get into your Friday morning in the low to mid-40s inland, upper 40s to near 50 at the coast, and a mostly sunny day will await you on Friday with breezy conditions across the region. Temperatures will be near 60 degrees at the beaches and mid-60s inland. I'm Storm Track 12 meteorologist Donnie Cox.
From the Fox Business Network. Well, you better pack some patience if you're hoping to get away in 2019. That's because AAA says nearly 100 million Americans are planning to take a family vacation this year, and that is more than last year. As you might imagine, most will take their journey.
Okay, yeah, we're on commercial break.
Stocks rallying on Wall Street Thursday. Investors worrying less about rising interest rates after Wednesday's Federal Reserve meeting. Blue jeans were making green on Thursday. The iconic jean maker Levi Strauss making a triumphant return to Wall Street. Shares soaring around 32%. This is the second time Levi's trading publicly. The first time was from 1971 till 1985 when a buyout took the company private. And if you're looking to buy a new home, we've got some good news for you. Freddie Mac says the 30-year fixed-rate mortgage has fallen 4.28% this week, and that is the lowest it's been in 13 months. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Connell McShane.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans. 30% of Americans who are planning home improvements of $5,000 or more will pay for those renovations with a high-interest credit card. That may not be a great idea. A better idea may be to take cash out of your home with a Quicken Loans 30-year fixed-rate mortgage. The rate today on our 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 4.5%, APR 4.78%. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
Rate subject to change. Pay 2% fee to receive this discounted rate. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
They are known by many strange and bizarre names. Carpenter ants, little black ants, fire ants, Argentine ants, acrobat ants, big-headed ants, crazy ants.
Even though their names may sound strange and mysterious, the fact is they are pests. Being invaded by ants in your home or office is no laughing matter. When you see ants, it's time to call Ritapest at 1-800-PEST-CONTROL. Ritapest is locally owned and operated, and our technicians are usually available for same-day emergency service and ready to answer any questions you have about pests and how to stop them. At Ritapest, we guarantee you'll see results after our first visit. No matter what their name, no matter what you call them, all you know is you've got ants. Call Ritapest at 1-800-PEST-CONTROL and let your pest problem be ours. That's 1-800-PEST-CONTROL for Ritapest, the most trusted name in pest control.
The Y Factor here on the Talk Station, FM 107 AM 1240. We've got Sarah Brady joining us from Harnett County. I got it right, Sarah Brady, right? I think she's still with us.
I'm here.
Okay, I got it right. It's Harnett County. Oh, I know what it is. You're hearing the music in the background. It's gating. I've got to bring that music down here in just a moment. We've got Sarah Brady joining us. We've got Joey and Trevor and Ronnie here in the studio. Okay, I misspoke. It wasn't Twitter. It was Facebook. This happened on the 18th. Facebook blocked Trump's social media chief because he was answering a question that had been posed to him. Somebody asked him a question. He attempted to answer it, and the note came back. You're temporarily blocked from making public comments on Facebook. Some of your comments have been reported as spam. To avoid getting blocked again, make sure your posts are in line with the Facebook community standards. And, of course, we've talked about this on other programs this week. The European Union is fining Google. And then we've got the topic of the events in New Zealand. I'm going to go out to you with this question. Is it appropriate first for the digital media to attempt to control the message, or should we just let it be a free-for-all? And I'll start with you on that one, Joey.
Digital media can't help but control the message. What's the message? They're presenting it in some way. They may be doing it. Well, Facebook in that case is justifying their decision by saying this person is either saying things that have no good intent behind them, or they would say something has a malintent.
But who is to determine that?
All right. Well, let's start with, let's say, the company whose service it is to determine it, right?
It's a relationship between the company and the consumer.
Okay.
If the consumers don't like what's happening, they can pressure the company to bring about changes.
Okay, but what if this is, and we've seen this in a situation in China, where China is controlling the message and, in fact, controlling the...
Yeah, I've got a lot of Chinese friends. They're on social media lockdown, but they have an in-country system called Weibo.
Okay.
Which is moderated by the communist authorities, regulated, obviously tracked.
Right. And then out of that, what's happening is they're determining you've got this issue of social media. Before I go to Ronnie, what's your thought on this, Sarah Brady?
I mean, I think anytime you are dealing with a platform, you're always going to have some sort of filtering. And especially with the way that we've now changed our laws, you can't ignore the impact of FOSTA and SESTA that we've incentivized all these platforms to really bear down and have very strict guidelines. And people are going to get upset when they fall inside of that, even by accident.
Ronnie, your thoughts?
I mean, she pretty much just summed it up. I will say I don't, Facebook has had a lot of experience in this realm. They practically were the social media platform to launch all these other ones. And I hate to see an ideology more than likely coming down from the top to the coders to the people managing the website. I will say this was probably an algorithm that probably got this guy. I don't think it was someone sitting at Facebook. It's like, I'm going to mess with Trump's media guy. I don't think that happened. But I would imagine that it got reported enough times by folks on the other side of the political spectrum that it was taken down.
What's going to happen then, and we're seeing this with the European Union, they're fining Google.
I feel like that's a great, real quick, I feel like that's a great point and a great way to put it, and it's in line with what Trevor was saying. What if your standard is that enough people who use your service object to this individual? Well, then all of a sudden you've just left things up to, rather than an identifiable standard of language or thought, you've just left things up to whatever the opinion of the greatest number of people who can muster enough votes to say, I don't want to hear this guy, or this guy is not a legitimate person.
I'm sitting here a little stunned by this, because you're actually limiting free speech.
Are you? You could argue that if somebody votes to silence somebody's opinion, that they're exercising their speech.
On a private platform, I guess you can do whatever you want. But let's look at Germany. Germany's lower house, the Bundestag, I believe they enacted a $100 million fine for hate speech. And so Facebook hired thousands and thousands of content reviewers to make sure, because if it's up for more than, I believe it's 24 hours, you're eligible for the fine. But they sure did jump on it when Germany's government got involved.
Okay. Go ahead. You were going to say something, Sarah Brady.
I don't remember anymore. Sorry.
Okay. We had a situation in the UK. A lady who was, in this case, I think it was a TV program, failed to refer to someone according to their preferred pronoun, gender pronoun. And the mother was told that she would could possibly be arrested under the guise of hate speech for failing to use the proper pronoun. This is one of those gender mixture issues. And on top of that, the family has been seriously challenged on the internet. There have been all sorts of threats posed to them as well. So my question is, where do you draw the hate speech issue? How do you? I see that this issue, topic example, you brought it up when I was talking with Mark Rotterman earlier today, Joey. The topic of infanticide. Where do you determine the role of abortion versus infanticide? And you said that you challenged me on that, and I simply said the governor of Virginia stated that if an abortion failed and the baby was born alive, it was up to the doctor and the mother to make the decision on whether or not to let the child live. That does come under the category of infanticide or murder.
My only point there was that the average Democrat does not want to kill babies, or does not want anyone killing babies.
But unfortunately, this being hung around their necks with that. But be that as it is, where do you draw the line on hate speech? And I'm going to bring this back to the issue of New Zealand, because there's a lot of concern there about the role of the internet in situations of that. So I don't have an answer, but where do we draw the line on the free speech issue? Sarah Brady, to you.
Free speech is an issue about government. It's not an issue about private platforms. If private platforms should be able to experiment with varying forms of restriction, and that is not the same as saying, well, the government should restrict them.
But what if your private platform is a monopoly and, quite frankly, no one else can play?
What if you're a conservative and you feel like your viewpoint is being attacked by everybody and you want to lump everybody into one category as coming after you?
Well, that's a different story. That's a moment of opinion. I'm not talking about opinion. I'm talking about real facts. If you're dealing with a monopoly,
should any speech be illegal? Okay, some speech people think should be illegal if it presents a clear and present danger to the commission of an illegal act. That's at least one Supreme Court ruling. But should hate speech be illegal? Well, the question is does it harm, is it in the public good for it to be illegal? Because does it harm people? Does the harm that it causes, is that equivalent to other things that harm people that are made illegal of the public good?
Everybody eventually gets harmed by some message. I mean, it's just going to happen.
And a radical example is the Westboro Baptist Church.
Right. Perfect one. Like that.
That's very radical. It is obvious hate speech.
Yes.
So should they be restricted? Or should the audience
I hate those you-know-whats.
I know.
But technically, I don't think we can do much about their right.
Sarah Brady?
We can't restrict that, and part of the problem with trying to restrict it is, yes, it seems like it goes away, you shove it underground, but it doesn't go away, and you're just kind of blinding yourself to the fact that these kinds of things do still exist in your society and should be addressed straightforward. Shouldn't just be, well, we're just going to try and get rid of you or incentivize you to at least keep that hatefulness in your home.
Ronnie, I'm going to let you wrap it up before we go to the break.
Move along, vote against them, and if you don't like the platform on which you're discussing things, change your platform if it's private.
If it's private, if you can change, if there's a platform that you can change too.
Agreed. I don't think anyone should go to jail for their speech or be indicted or go through legal troubles. But if they're obviously to the point of promoting self-harm of the individual or violence against another individual, I think that's where you have to draw the line, right? It's when physical harm could potentially fall upon someone by promoting said message, whatever that message may be.
And the New Zealand shooter made it very obvious what his plans were for 24 hours on a dark web website called 8chan.
8chan, and there's another one, 4chan, and the question is...
And 8chan was their founder started that because they felt like the far left was censoring too much. So 8chan's reaction
is to censor it all.
To a censorship culture.
Wow.
We're all
and
guilty.
That's the kind of crap that happens when we over-police speech, I believe. Mm-hmm. If we can keep it in the public realm, we can better monitor it anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
All right. We'll take a break on that one. Very informative. We're talking with Ronnie, Trevor, and Joey here in the studio. Sarah Brady joining us by Skype here on the Y Factor. Stay with us for more.
Cares franchises turned a profit thanks to a mob of homeless people and hungry college kids. Long story short, the last remaining Panera Cares is going out of business, proving the problem with socialism is that eventually you run out of other people's chicken salad. I'm Todd Starnes.
That's your Fox News commentary.
Hello.
Field Law, is that you, boy?
Lawyer Daggett, what's up?
Heckfire, boy. I see there's 25 people running against you for Congress. Ain't nobody ever heard of them. I do recall a couple of them were up for dog catcher one time. There's one of them now.
Lawyer Daggett, I fought in Iraq as a combat Marine to give every American that opportunity.
Well, you sure done that, brother.
There is a battle going on in D.C. every day. I'm willing to fight for you. All you have to do is send me up there.
Congressman Field Law. That's got a nice ring to it.
I'm Phil Law, and I approve this message because America's worth fighting for.
Paid for by Law for Congress.
This is Dan Gaynor with Newsbusters.org. Join me Fridays at 5 p.m. right here on the talk station. It's Smart Radio.
The Y Factor here on the talk station FM 107 AM 1240. I always remind you about Advanced Water Systems, the outstanding service that they provide with Connecticut products. And by the way, we have a note. I've forgotten to use this for some time. Connecticut treats your water very kindly. It removes the hardness, thereby treating you as well, very kindly as well. If you want to find out about the standing array of Connecticut products, of course, the non-electric water solution, as their water softeners are known, as well as a wide variety of reverse osmosis water purifiers and air purifiers, and particularly the K5 drinking water station, I mention it every evening. Go to their website, KineticoNC.com, KINETICONC.com. From the Piedmont to the coast. That's what includes, by the way, where Sarah Brady's located in Harnett County. From the Piedmont to the coast, from Georgia to Washington, D.C., the source, the only source, the best source for Connecticut products is Advanced Water Systems, locally Old Cherry Point Road in Newbern, 635-6222. That's 635-6222. Home office and showroom, Highway 7 East between Newport and Morehead City, 223-4444. That's 223-4444. And, of course, online at KineticoNC.com. Trevor, you brought up a question just a moment ago on this issue of censorship and you know, go ahead.
Right. So, I mean, I was just wondering the genesis of this whole New Zealand ordeal. He's obviously, you know, and you have to take this manifesto at face value because, I mean, this shooter was obviously very overt in his intentions, but he, I guess, was motivated by a reaction to a censorship culture.
You think so?
In part. And that's what I'm wondering. Was he mostly motivated by that, partially motivated by that, or motivated not at all? And I think Ronnie felt like he was partially motivated, but maybe there's some other factors. Obviously, him being a deranged, hateful, idiotic individual is a huge factor, but...
And that's what I was going to hammer, is the personal life experience that we probably won't be able to dive into because, and I respect New Zealand for this and the Prime Minister, just not giving him a name, like not publicizing his name.
That's a good question.
And it's hard, and it's what I was thinking about this. It's truly hard to backtrack as a whole entire planet, this person, when the name isn't entirely public. But I don't think that someone reacts to censorship culture alone and carries out the deadliest shooting in the history of a country, or the modern history of the country. I think there has to be issues at home. There has to be like a extensive criminal history, substance abuse. There's got to be something more than just the censorship issue to me. I don't think anyone would do.
Yes, because I think, like Ronnie says, sometimes there are very personal factors underlying these political statements, and they could be kind of mixed up in complicated ways.
Yeah. Sarah Brady, what's your thought on that?
I think everybody else has already kind of hit it on the head.
Okay, now the other question is, Joey, do you have a thought on that? Because
well, I'm sure that the tons and tons of people probably agreed with a lot of his opinions. I didn't read his manifesto, but they wouldn't do what he did still, with even withholding some of the same opinions.
You know, the other thing you brought up, and the Associated Press and the media in general, is taking on the task of, if you will, I hesitate to use the word self-censorship, but they also are saying, and this was brought up by a panel of youths that I talked to on Monday evenings, guys, you'll be interested in this. One of our teenagers said, this is following the shooting in Charleston. And sadly, if you ask me, I know the name of the shooter. Okay?
Yeah.
We publicized it to the country.
Well, it just bothered me immensely, and of course,
I'd like to see us really adopt more of this. Don't give them the oxygen that it would take to speak about them, because that's how terrorism works. And if the problem that we have worldwide is that extremist ideologies of all sorts have decided that terrorism in the age of new media is a really effective tactic because of the way that we publicize it, then the way you deal with that is by not publicizing it, by saying, no, we're not going to give in to this tactic and make it effective. We're going to do the opposite. We're going to say, if you're going to try and force us to behave a certain way, we're going to say no.
And let's not forget that this gunman live streamed the attacks on Facebook.
I know.
4,000 people saw it.
Yeah. So, I mean, and people have that video saved. Who knows who has that content out there?
I know, and it's
And that's part of, like what Sarah Brady said, terrorism in the age of new media, it's all about that theatrics and that visual terror, the visual aspect of it.
What's really bothersome to me is I could not. If somebody wanted to share with me the photo of the individual who committed suicide in Morehead City. You don't know about this, Sarah Brady. Gentleman jumped off a bridge and was seen, I'll go ahead and tell you, dangling from the bridge. I don't want to see it. But people, we lack the maturity. And in this particular case, the fact that he was live streaming it, I'm sorry that anyone wants to watch it. That's the thing.
It's appalling and it's disgusting.
And I will say, I don't think people were wanting to watch it. I think some of those people were just simply exposed, because when someone goes live, it just pops on your phone. So if they were friends with that person by chance, they literally opened up their phone and saw what they were doing.
That is scary.
Yeah.
Okay, but saying that, there will be no video of this, there will be the words of the shooter will not be used, the name of the shooter will not be used. That's social and media censorship, though.
It is.
Again, that is another form of censorship.
It is.
But that's a good censorship.
Well, okay, that's good censorship. Okay, I figured it out.
I'm willing to claim that is good censorship.
Sarah Brady, thank you very much. Stay with us on our chat. We're going to try to bring you all here in the studio very quickly, wrapping it up this evening on the Y Factor. And again, want to thank Joey, Ronnie, Trevor, and Sarah Brady for a great evening. Very dynamic conversation. Stay with us for more here on the Talk Station FM 107 AM 1240.
We are the same.
See dealer for details.
Hello, folks. Once again, it's Mike coming to you from Trent Cadillac Buick GMC in Newbern. And I was thinking, I talk so much about the service department and our culture at Trent. I failed to mention one of our biggest advantages to you, the customer, and that's our pre-owned automobiles. Interest rates are going up. In this area that I'm in right now, it's up around 6% is the average. We have 1.9% on all certified pre-owned, and we have a huge inventory of these automobiles, and we have every kind of pickup truck, SUV that you can imagine for our trade-ins, and they've all been through our famous shop. Really, if you're looking at a pre-owned automobile, I think you're going to love the culture at Trent Cadillac Buick GMC, because what we want to do is make you so happy you never pre-owned automobile. Go on our website and you can see why we'll make you a customer for life, and you'll see why our people give you an edge.
And the service department is open on Saturdays, and check out deals online at Trent.com.
24/7, 365. You're up and at 'em every day, so you don't want something like Medicare Part D to slow you down. At Walgreens, we'll take care of your Medicare Part D prescriptions, saving you time and money. Make the switch to Walgreens today and get more by earning 100 balance reward points and save up to $5 on each Medicare Part D prescription when Walgreens is your preferred pharmacy. Walgreens, trusted since 1901. Prescription savings applies to Tier 1 generics when you fill at a preferred versus a non-preferred pharmacy on select plans. Points can't be earned in New York, New Jersey, or